was a lot of damage, especially at the beginning of 2020.
We've been able to intervene the effects of desert locust.
What we have decided is to quickly station a spraying aircraft right here.
The emergency Locust Response Project has been able to supply water.
We are trying to federate the 3 value chains.
Memaliza hii mamiti yote, hata nyasi sasa, hata mfuko yetu hakuna namna saa hii.
The locust came in millions, enveloping an entire landscape in many parts of upper eastern and northern Kenya. They consume nearly every available plant, stripping bare every much of the available vegetation.
Yeah, now you do that. Now go PTA, PTA, what a modern Gabriel.
This was at the end of 2019 when locust infestation in Samburu County and elsewhere really destroyed the livelihoods of pastoralist communities.
Desert locust arrived in Kenya at the end of 2019. It was the first time since 70 years, which means that it was almost unknown by history of people who were around at that time. And there was a lot of course, questions about the potential damage of desert locusts on crops in particular, but also on rangelands.
As millions of insects ravaged the plains, hills and valleys of Samburu, pastoralists did not know what to do. Some resorted to rudimentary methods to chase them away. When the government came in, it sought collaborative effort with other countries in the Horn of Africa.
Hii madudu ni mbaya kwetu kabisa. Memaliza hii mamiti yote, hata nyasi sasa, hata mfuko yetu hakuna namna saa hii sisi wanategemea mfuko. Hata kukua hii mgonjwa nyinyi wanasema, serikali wanasema hii mgonjwa iko mgonjwa ingine, hii ndio mbaya tena zaidi. Hata sisi bado sijaona hiyo mgonjwa, lakini hii ndio shida kwetu.
Initially the locust came infested Samburu County, about 680 swamps that infested a county during that time, and it really brought effects because Samburu people depend on livestock.
Here we are. We live in the Horn of Africa again, where regional interventions, coordinated regional intervention becomes difficult.
There were also other challenges related to the nature of the landscape, but something conclusive had to be done through the bodies assigned to undertake controllable measures.
At the beginning of the crisis, Kenya and the countries in the region were not ready. They didn't have the capacity to respond, they didn't have the logistics in place, so there was a lot of damage, especially at the beginning of 2020.
Other stakeholders, including the Samburu County government, embraced a multi-pronged approach. On the one hand, a number of measures were adopted to deal with the invasion.
Really, you see these swamps when they have gotten out of those difficult terrains. So we are largely relying on aerial surveillance to monitor. And then, of course, once we tie them, we are able to spray. What we have decided is to quickly station a spraying aircraft right here. And I've already asked for it to be brought.
Mnaona tu vile sisi tumehangaika. Mimi hata gari yangu imeisha. Najaribu kukimbiza kutoka kwa boma. Sasa hii mali green kidogo unaona ni kwa mtu. Sasa imefahamia mpaka kwangu. Tujui sasa wananchi wengine watafanya nini kama kwa viongozi iko namna hii.
The first priority that we put in place, working with the government of Kenya and make sure that we had enough logistics, enough equipment in order to control and do the surveillance as well of this.
We are working on some challenges. This area where we have the locusts, the reason why it's quite difficult is because it's a very rugged terrain with hills and valleys, very difficult terrain.
And for the first time, drones were deployed to assist the spraying. This was meant to stem the destruction of pastures, which really affect the livelihoods of pastoral community.
What we're doing here today is piloting the use of drones for the control of locusts. Today we've come to this Samburu area and found a swarm of hoppers. We have sprayed them with cypermethrin. That's a conventional biopesticide.
Hii dundu liharibu hapa area yetu yote. Liharibu hii area yote ilikuwa mingi. Hasara kubwa sana ya nyasi, ya ng'ombe, ugonjwa ya ng'ombe nini.
The dimension of the crisis was extremely big, and we had to react very quickly in order to prevent serious damages on crops and on rangeland and on grazing areas. We know very well that when we do control of desert locusts, there will still be damages, and then we have to stabilize livelihoods of communities that are impacted in particular. But it also means compensating pastoral and agro-pastoral communities who have lost grazing possibilities because desert locusts have damaged rangeland.
Samburu people depend on livestock. Most of the farmers depend on livestock, so their livelihood is around livestock. So locusts invaded pasture and also the animal health. So because of ELRP, Emergency Locust Response Project, we've been able to intervene the effects of desert locust.
Because of the drought, the livestock diseases actually continue to emerge more and become more dangerous.
Nayo serikali ya kaunti ya Samburu imeanza zoezi la kutoa chanjo kwa mifugo kufuatia maradhi ya tetemaji ya mifugo. Aidha, mifugo hao wameripotiwa kuwa na ugonjwa wa miguu na vinywa, ambapo sasa serikali ya kaunti hiyo umesema lazima udhibitiwe kabla ya kuathiri zaidi mifugo.
We have been able to vaccinate our shots in Samburu East and Samburu North. At the moment it's ongoing against sheep and goat pox and also against CCP.
Tuko na changamoto, mifugo wanakufa kwa sababu ya njaa na ugonjwa.
Mbuzi yetu inakuwa mgonjwa kila siku, mwingine anakufa. Na hii mbuzi ndio nasaidia sisi, hii ndio chakula yetu.
Locust walikuja wakakula mboga yetu yote, tukabaki kama hatuna lolote. Tukastuka kwa sababu hatukuwa na chochote la kupea watoto, na watoto wetu wanataka lishe bora. Tulikaa kwa muda wa miaka 2. Baadaye hiyo program ya Locust wakakuja kutusaidia, wakatuletea mbegu. Hiyo mbegu bado ilikuja ikatusaidia kwa sababu hatukufunjika moyo, tulisaidika sana, tukang'ang'ana kama mama.
Towards this end, a number of measures were adopted to assist families deal with the resultant loss of the community's food base and income, and hence stabilize local livelihoods.
Providing them with grants, we do train them on various teams, those are technology management practices.
Na pia watu wa agriculture walikuja wakatusaidia vile ya kupanda mimea yetu, vile ya kulima shamba letu, kwa sababu wengi wetu hatukusoma. Wengi wetu hata hatujai kuwa wakulima, hatujui vile ya kulima, lakini walikuja wakatusaidia.
So we have 3 tiers of model. The model 1 involves training of sub-county technical teams. The sub-county technical teams will now cascade their trainings to the lead farmers. Then after the lead farmers are being trained, they now cascade this one to the CIGs, the respective common interest groups. Then after that, we now link all these farmers to what we call farmer producer organizations. These farmer producer organizations can be able to federate all these CIGs, all the funded CIGs, all the farmers within the FPO.
More importantly, the county's trade, cooperatives and enterprise development as well as the agriculture department went out of their way to provide families with training on how to embark on kitchen gardening and federating groups to appropriate circles.
We want to federate them into farmer produce organizations based on the 3 value chains so that they are able to access more education, more funding, more grants based on the produce organizations that they are going to join.
Kwa hii group yetu ya mama tunakuanga mama 20 na pia tukiwa mama 20 tumejaribu kufanya kazi mingi sana kwa sababu ni sisi wenyewe ndio tunajipanga kwa kazi yetu. Kama siku ya soko kama Jumanne tunapea mama wengine wapeleka mboga kwa soko, alafu wengine wanakuja kwa shamba wanatushotea, wanaangalia mimea yetu isikuliwe na wanyama wengine.
Through this initiative, farmers started a revolving fund, support farming businesses and other income-generating activity in different parts of the county.
Kama tuko na shortage ya jembe, vijiko, wheelbarrows, vitu mingi kwa shamba tunajisaidia na hiyo pesa yetu. Na bado hiyo pesa ndio tunapeana, watu wanaturudishia ikiwa na faida.
Because of the distances, they have been walking for almost 50 to 30 kilometers looking for water. But because of this program, we have been able to water track them so that they'll get water available within their farms to feed their small stocks.
In this regard, the project provided trucks that supplied water to affected people.
Tinuta ba jigata nampu na kita yonkare maka jigata ba nampai te dongo jito office na ki jwa na ashe oleng kiru joginta na ashe oleng pokin na ki jengna da anta entere ti yo na ka ba tankare dire te ba do yo le kai para ba sede yo meta wari.
During the water tracking intervention, our communities did not have storage facilities for water so that they will keep and use for some time. So we had to provide water tanks so that they will have to store water and use for 1 week or so.
We have been able to supply water to the hard-to-reach areas, the areas that do not have water. We have also been able to supply food trays through the center in partnership with the World Bank. And in Samburu North, particularly Nyero Division, where it has a very high potential to grow food trees, so that we can be able to eradicate hunger, because through the provision of food trees, the communities there will be able to even earn income over time.
The Emergency Locust Response Project provided seedlings of fruit trees as well as animal feeds to the affected family in South Hor and other areas in the county.
Tumeweka kutoka Sumurai mpaka South Hor town, tutakuja Kurungu na hapa tabia Kere. Na tunaona wakulima kweli wamepanda, wanaendelea kupanda, ingawa kuna yale ambayo zimekufa kwa sababu ya kiangazi. Kwa hivyo hata ukiona soko ikiwa hapa katika eneo letu, wakulima wanasauza hizi mbegu ama hizi sukuma ama hizi maembe kwa miaka 3 ambayo zitakuja kwa watu ambao wanatoka Panda Lake ama Baragoi kwa supply yao hawa.
Our families had earlier also received goats which are actually more adaptable than the sheep in several areas, and this has actually improved our household food security and in many areas.
Through a scheme meant to upgrade indigenous breeds for the purpose of raising meat and milk production, the project availed Gala goats to the herders.
Emergency Locust Response Project imeweza kupea Gala goats ambayo tuliweza kupokea mbuzi 17, dume zikiwa 10 na kike zikiwa 7.
Additionally, Gala goats have a high twinning rate which allows their population to grow quickly and contribute to the food nutrition.
So we've been able to do Gala goats production and breeding. So most of our farmers now are doing breeding of to improve the inferior breeds because of the meat and also milk.
Na tulifurahi sana kwa sababu iliwafaidi. Watu walifaidika, wengine hata wale walikuwa wameishiwa na wanyama wao waliweza hata kuamka tena.
Through ELRP, we have been able to purchase animal feeds, that is pellets for our animals which are being affected by the drought.
For them, it means largely looking into providing fodder or feeds in the form of pellets, range cubes in particular. So these are the stabilization activities that we have been implementing in 2020 and as well in 2021. We may have climatic events such as cyclones that are basically allowing desert locusts to move away from the traditional areas where they breed.
Climate change means that there is a lot of uncertainties in the way we live in the modern, in the world. Locusts have not been part of our habitat in Kenya or even in East Africa for many years.
We don't have enough evidence at the moment. I mean, in terms of timeline and historic data, we don't have the evidence that there is a direct correlation between climate and the movement of desert locusts. However, we know that desert locusts need moisture in order to migrate and to find food, but they also have the alternance of dry seasons and the alternance of wet seasons.
Wanaweza wakiendelea kuwa na utaratibu na mpango wa kutusaidia, bila shaka tutarudi mahali tulikuwa.
Hiyo mboga yetu tulipata lishe bora kwa watoto wetu kwa sababu hiyo mboga ilitusaidia kama wamama na bado ilisaidia watoto wetu kwa afya.
So we want to honestly thank the World Bank and all the partners who have been supporting us during these emergencies. Because through that partnership, we are moving forward.